So just a quick apology. If you don't follow me on my Twitter, you probably should. Shameless plug here. But I was going to go ahead and edit the footage from the video I filmed on Thursday for yesterday, and somehow magically, the entire time, it was focused on the background and not my face. But somehow the second video I filmed was focused on my face. So I don't know what happened. You know, I really couldn't tell you. But that's the story for that moment. Hey you guys, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. And this is the second time I'm filming this video, so let's just get into it. So for those of you guys who don't know, The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern is, I believe, an adult fantasy novel that follows these two magicians who kind of essentially run this night circus. And it only appears during the nighttime. It's not open during the day, and it disappears without warning, and it comes back in like different locations all over the world. Very interesting, and I love the premise of it. And then on top of this like wonderful piece of knowledge about this night circus, these guys are also the two magicians are also in a competition with each other, and they don't necessarily realize that they are in a competition with one another, if that makes sense. Now, my first thoughts on this was that the premise sounded really good, as I say in every tea talk that I do. It sounds really great. I'm really intrigued of the idea and of the circus and the mystery behind everything, that it only really appears during the night. It's not going on during the day, and there's these two magicians in a competition with one another. I thought that there was a lot of, it's going to be a lot of angst and heartbreak, and it just sounds like there's more to the summary than, like, there is, more to the summary than meets the eye kind of deal. And I found myself kicking myself in the face for not actually reading this when I did buy it. As you guys know, this was in a TBR, I believe, in October last year, and it is August-ish now, so it's almost been a year since I bought the book and said I was going to read it. So here I am, finally getting around to it. But I'm kicking myself, and I'm really sad that I didn't get to this as fast as I possibly could have. Now, as for things I did like, I love the poetic writing. It's very descriptive and just downright beautiful. I thought that it fit the theme of the whole magic element of the entire story, and I loved every single minute of it. I also like the fact that it was written non-linearly, which means it kind of jumps from one point of time to another. Like there's like a chapter that's going to be in 1902, and then another in 1901. So it's very nice to kind of see the changes between the circus from what happened in a year. The characters were also so complex and had so many layers to them and so many wants and values and goals that they didn't get mixed up at all. And considering this is a circus and there's a lot of like different casts of characters and different things for what they do, I thought I was going to confuse some characters and get really concerned about what was going on with the book and not be able to differentiate between each character. But that was never a problem for me. I got a chance to really fall in love with these characters and root for them and want the best from them, but I'm not going to talk about it because I'm going to spoil everything. So the concept of the circus also threw me in, like pulled me in, not threw me in, but I was essentially thrown into this book. But the concept of the circus and how magical it was kind of threw me for a loop in comparison to the original idea of the circus that we see in everyday life, where there are tents and shows and clowns and not as much magic, like literal magic behind it. So to have this be like actual literal magic that's running the circus and kind of giving this idea of what how I pictured the circus, I just loved it. I thought that this was kind of how exactly I pictured a circus novel to be. And I really want to read more circus books. It's become another one of my obsessions, along with pirates, mermaids, fairies, all the jazz. Now, as for things I did not like, sometimes the non-linear style of writing kind of got to me. I didn't know it was going to be non-linear until I looked up the Wikipedia of the book to find out that it is written non-linearly, and I should have picked up on it. But for the most part, like in the beginning of the book, it was written kind of in chronological order, so from one year to another, or from December to October, like the first to the second kind of situation. So I didn't think much of it, and then the deeper we got, it became non-linear, and I kind of had a bit of trouble breaking out of my idea that it's going to go down in chronological order and have to like figure out like going back and forth between chapters, being like, okay, so this took place in 1902, this took place in 1901, and etc., etc., etc. And that was kind of a little difficult for me to get into. Sometimes I kind of struggled figuring out what was going on, and seeing the situation at hand. So like I had to take a pause from when I ended a chapter to when I started a new one to like go back and be like, okay, so this takes place September 1902 and the other one takes place in March 1901 kind of situation, though I don't believe the gap was that large. Now I went from I read the book that I read before this was a simpler novel, like the writing style, so I found that the language was a little like, while poetic, and I loved it and adored it as soon as I got into it, I found that there were moments where it was really hard to chew through the descriptions and really get into the novel on top of the non-linear style of writing. So that was a struggle that I had, because I would sit there, I would get into it, and then I'd switch chapters and have to like remember that this is a different timeline, like not focus on the stuff that happened in the previous chapter, and then shoot through the descriptions, get into the chapter, and then it would end, and the cycle would repeat. And that was kind of my biggest like concern and problem while I was reading it. It's more of a personal problem, but you know, that is what it is, and that's the one thing that I didn't like too much about it. As for my overall thoughts, I love the story overall and everything about it. It gets me in such a fantastical circus reading mood. I want to read more, so I think I'll probably finally get around to picking up Caraval by Stephanie Garber. Rip me for not getting it soon enough. It also makes me want to write, it put me in a bit of a struggle reading this book, because this is like, her style of writing is how I want to start writing a bit more. So I wanted to write like that, but sadly I wanted to read more, but I also wanted to write. So it was a bit of a struggle, but you know, I got through it. I finished the chapter I was supposed to write, finished the book, we're here. I would definitely recommend this to anyone who loves kind of like, not so much a mystery, but a book where the pieces aren't all fitting and you have to go through and figure out the pieces and everything, as well as the magic and the circus, and having lots of complex characters with lots of complex backgrounds that have put them in this position to be in this circus. I would warn anyone though that it is a little slow. It's a little slow. Like, I love the beginning half, but it is a little slow, and you need to get used to the writing style a bit more. So like if you're like me, who ends up blasting through books because that's how she is, I would just recommend you take this a little slower and like read maybe one chapter at a time, or just like dedicate time out of your day to like get into this book, because it's a little slow, and I feel like if you're going into it hoping it's going to be a really fast-paced read, you're going to be a little disappointed. Not disappointed, but you're going to struggle. I would give this a 4 out of 5 stars. I want to give it more, but like I said, the non-linear style of writing as well as the difficulty to chew through is my personal thing, but that's what kind of dinged me on giving this a full 5 out of 5 stars. But would still highly recommend this, so go ahead and pick it up. And I also want to get more into Erin Morgenstern's work, so if you guys have any recommendations, I would love to see them, because I want to get more for reading in there. But that is it for this tea talk. Sorry if I sounded a little rushed or a little quick. I have things I need to finish getting done today, and yeah, this video being one of them. Hit like if you like these videos. Also comment below if you have read this book and your thoughts on the book. I would love to have a conversation with you guys down below, or if you have any recommendations for more of Erin Morgenstern's work. Also hit subscribe. I do try to upload every Saturday and Wednesday, unless something happens like yesterday where the footage was a little funky. But other than that, I will try to tell you guys in my social media, so be sure to follow my Instagram, my Bookstagram, my Bookstagram and my personal Instagram if you like that kind of stuff, and then my Twitter, which my Bookstagram and my bookish Twitter is all at Bookish Therese, so you guys can find me there. But until then, I'll see you guys on Wednesday with different clothes, and yeah, bye.